Hi, so we're going to look at culturally responsive literature in the early childhood classroom. So, race related teaching practices in the classroom. For adults working with young children, race related teaching practices in classrooms may include helping children to develop positive racial identity, the ability to build relationships across races, and the awareness of race related injustices and the inclination to take action to stop them. The colorblind approach is a common but ineffective and potentially harmful method in which adults do not directly talk about race with children. Yet the absence of an intentional message about race sends a powerful message in itself. Children are left to develop their own understandings about race, and if they ask questions, they may be met with adults declining to talk about race at school. An improvement on the colorblind approach is a color aware approach. To be color aware is to intentionally teach children about race and tell them that we see and value their race because it is an important part of who they are. Adults in color aware classrooms bring up race in direct and positive ways. They take advantage of teachable moments and respond to children's race related questions and interactions with books and activities to advance the conversation. One step beyond color awareness is a social justice approach to teaching about race. Race related teaching practices in classrooms is considered ideal because it empowers children to play a role in acting against discrimination. Teachers use this approach to help children learn how to actively recognize and act on race related injustices. Taking a social justice approach means seeking out teachable moments that specifically have to do with unfairness or discrimination, such as suggesting children write a letter to a company that makes flesh colored band aids to let them know that their products do not match all skin tones and to propose that the name of the colors should be changed. Children's literature has enormous potential for helping children develop positive racial identity. In 1965, Nancy Larrick wrote passionately about the all white world of children's books, noting that the body of children's literature overwhelmingly featured characters who were white and that the books were aimed at a white readership. Some 50 years later, children's book author Walter Dean Myers posed a question in the New York Times. Where are the people of color in children's books? The question remains a sound one. Many scholars have examined the topic of diversity in children's literature, noting that the majority of publications continue to portray a homogeneous white middle class existence as the norm. These portrayals are not consistent with the lives of many children and their families. Books can be mirrors in which children see and savor images and representations similar to their own lives and experiences. Books can also be windows that enable young readers to gain new cultural perspectives by peering into others' worlds. Teachers and other caring adults can make the most of these mirrors and windows by selecting literature that represents the diverse experiences of children and using it effectively to develop culturally responsive classrooms that promote color awareness and social justice. Children need access to books that reflect their own race, culture, experiences, and context. Literature should include representation of different aspects of daily life within a culture, with particular attention given to aspects of setting and racial relevance. Ezra Jack Keats, for example, was among the first picture book creators to portray a cast of Black characters in an urban setting. More than half a century later, children still enjoy reading The Snowy Day, which follows Peter, a young Black child, as he plays in the snow. The story is one that unites a child's sense of excitement with the warmth of family love, all situated in an urban setting. Another example is Tap, Tap, Boom, Boom, which provides a lyrical look at a rainstorm and the way it plays out in the streets of a diverse city. The rain sends everyone ducking for cover, resulting in chance meetings and the beginning of new relationships, including interracial ones. Readers might also seek poetry grounded in the daily lives of Black children in varied settings, such as Thanks a Million by Nikki Grims, Brothers and Sisters family poems by Eloise Greenfield, and Honey I Love, also by Greenfield. It is important to look carefully at unique issues of racial relevance. Physical aspects, for example, are addressed in Jabbar, Asim's companion board book, Whose Toes Are Those? And Whose Knees Are These? These joyful rhyming texts celebrate Black and brown bodies. Likewise, I Love My Hair by Natasha Tarpley, Big Hair Don't Care by Crystal Swan Bates, and Emmy's Curly Coily Cotton Candy Hair by Tina Olajide reinforce the beauty of thick curly hair, more typical of Black children. So books that provide readers with opportunities to see different aspects of themselves, their communities, and the people they love can serve as material tools that affirm their sense of racial identity. Such books can serve as springboards for teachable moments and meaningful conversations, reflecting the teacher's color awareness and orientation toward thinking and acting from a social justice perspective. It is important to remember, however, that no book can fully represent a group or complex issue. Rather, it is helpful to think in terms of text sets or collections of connected books that address different perspectives on topics. So the books that are shown here on this slide are made from paintings by Jacob Lawrence, the first nationally renowned Black American artist in the United States. He paints series of paintings that tell a story. And so you can see here, there's a book from his paintings about the Great Migration of the Black Americans from the South to the North. Similarly, Story Painter is a story about Jacob Lawrence. And then the one on the right is hard to see, but this is a book about Harriet Tubman. So Jacob Lawrence painted a series on Harriet Tubman. You can use these books to talk about the historical aspect of what these paintings represent in the United States history. And you could also use them as a jumping off place for an art project. So think about how you can use literature as an entry point to not only discuss race, but also then to create your own maybe response to a book, especially when it's about an artist. Reading your way to a culturally responsive classroom means that early childhood educators are well versed in the importance of building relationships with children of diverse backgrounds, but many try to do so using colorblind approach. That is, they do not directly talk about race or race-related experiences. Children literature offers an engaging vehicle for generating these conversations as depicted in these different books here. We see that discussions about race in relationship to children books as part of a larger effort to revise conceptualization of high quality early childhood education to include teaching practices that intentionally address race. Ladson Billings stated, addressing race in our teaching practices challenges us to reconsider what we mean by good teaching. Children see race, and so should we. So this book, Happy in Our Skin, this is some excerpts from this book. Bouquets of babies, sweet to hold, cocoa brown, cinnamon, and honey gold. And then the one on the bottom here, ginger colored babies, peaches and cream too, splendid skin for me, splendid skin for you. Just a beautiful rhyming book. When you think about children in our age group from birth to 8 years old, they are so interested in babies. This book could be in any classroom, really. So, tips for collecting diverse children literature. Base your selection on quality. Books should not just teach a lesson, but should have a good story, high quality text, and engaging illustrations. Choose books that help children see themselves. Include books that mirror different aspects of identity, race, settings, beliefs, of children in the class so that they can imagine themselves in the story. Choose books that help children expand their understanding of others in this multicultural world. Include books that introduce children to new people, places, and concepts that they may not yet have encountered. Look widely for texts. Be alert to new titles related to diversity. In addition, the library can be a great source for out of print titles that appeal to children and relate to urban issues and diversity. Use text sets, expose children to different perspectives. These book collections may be organized by theme or may feature the work of a highly accomplished author or illustrator of color. Great picks for books by Black writers and artists include those by Christopher Myers, Floyd Cooper, Jacqueline Woodson, Ashley Bryan, Jerry Pinkney, Brian Pinkney, and E.B. Lewis.